Welcome back, everybody, to episode 12 now of
CultrTalk.
Special guest today.
Special guest today, but let's formalities.
Yeah,
Who is it brought to you by?
By Culture. That is me and Shuhan's marketing company, where we mainly focus on digital businesses that are on social media and online. And we also have House of Sheba.
Yeah, so House of Sheba is your one-stop shop for beauty, skincare and hair care products, coming in 2019 and catered to women with melanin-rich skin. So make sure to check the links in the description. And today we have our very, very special guest, Jack Edwards, who has come down. Thank you so much for coming down.
Thank you so much for having me.
It's weird how we got you down here today, because literally at night me and him were talking. We're like, oh, we need to get Jack Edwards on. All right, let's just send a DM. Let's see what happens.
My podcast ended and I was like, right, I'm like the Zayn of One Direction. I just jumped I was like, see you guys.
New podcast.
Yeah, I'm on
You might as well join
ours.
Yeah. We've got a vacancy. All I'm gonna say, you've got competition with Ibsmo. He also asked.
Listen, I'll fight for it.
So Jack, do you want to say a bit about yourself?
Yeah, so my name's Jack Edwards. I am a YouTuber. I make like videos about access to higher education and kind of trying to make it seem less intimidating to go to university and, you know, move away from home. I was the first person in my family, like my close immediate family, to go to university. And I just had no idea what I was doing, and nor did my parents. And so we were just like, we would go to all these open days and we were just like, you know, we were working it out as we went along, and there were a lot of things before I went to uni where I was like, I have all these questions and there's no one to answer them.
Yeah.
And there was a big gap on the internet, especially for my university, which is Durham. Their information on their website was so poor.
Really?
And so I was like, I want to answer those questions that I had a year ago. When I got to the university, I was like, I just want to be that person and fill that gap. And yeah, I also host a podcast, do a few little bits.
Yes, the Wooden Spoon. Let's plug
that. More plugs than an extension lead. Yeah, and so it's all fun. All good fun.
So you were saying just now, you're the first person in your immediate family to go to university.
Yeah.
I was second person. What was your journey like to university? Like, were you set from GCSE to A level, I'm going to university? Or?
Yeah, I think that I've always been like really academic, like more so than maybe my family. My family were all very much more about like engineering and work kind of like that. My dad's side of the family come from like greengrocers and like that just wasn't the lifestyle for me. I don't think. I was just like, you know, I like fruit and veg as much as the next guy, but I just don't think I want to be the next greengrocer. So I was kind of, I think that I always knew I wanted to go to uni. And I think as a concept, I found it super intimidating. I was just like, I don't know. It's something that I always wanted to do, but I never knew how to get there really. And I think it was kind of assumed at my school that it was like, when you go to university, yada, 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 but it was never explained kind of how. And so, yeah, I think that was kind of the gap in my knowledge that I found, is that I was like, I want to go, and I have this almost like dream of I want to go to university. I hope I get in, but then it was kind of like, when I get there, what's going to happen?
Yeah,
you know, it's even there's silly things like the grading system. You know, when you get there, it's like, what's a degree with honors? What does that even mean?
What's a 2-1?
What does that even mean? I remember seeing people post it on Facebook. I just got 2-1. I was like,
what's that?
What?
What's that?
Like, what is that?
I was thinking A star, A B.
I'm still thinking, what is a 2-1? But yes, I think it was kind of very much like GCSEs, A levels, and I always knew I wanted to go to uni. I kind of toyed with the idea of doing a gap year or something, but I just was like, I felt as though if I went away and traveled and stuff, I'd never go back. So.
Yeah, that's what everyone says. You know, once you leave, you never go back.
Yeah, that's what I wanted to just like. I wanted to do.
I'm completely opposite too, because I remember GCSE. I was like, once like sixth form is done, that's it. I'm leaving education. I'm out of here. I was like, even in sixth form, I started sixth form. I was like, I'm gonna leave, go probably get an apprenticip, and then just get into work.
I dragged them with me.
That was but then exactly. Literally, he did. He was talking about universities with me, and I was like, not me. And then he's like, no. We're applying for universities. So I applied for
universities.
Yeah, exactly.
But like, best decision I've made, I'd say.
Yeah, but oh my God,
best decision I've made is coming to university, because I've grown as a person so much, like at university. Like, I think you guys would agree with that as well.
Definitely, like the people you meet, the people you network with, just experiencing also how just there's certain things you realize about yourself that you wouldn't have beforehand, you know, not having the guidance of your parents being there, or the independence, exactly. Just that aspect of things. It's mentally challenging at uni as well as fun. And that balance is great to have as well. So yeah.
It is such a fresh start as well. I think also one thing I always say to people is that university is the one of the only opportunities you get to just like have a clean slate.
Yeah.
And if there's a sport that you've never tried but you want to give it a go, then you can.
Yeah.
And there's almost like no judgment, because there will also be other people who are starting for the first time, and no one there knows each other yet. So it's not, you know, it's like if they're going to talk about you behind your back, who are they going to talk to? Because
everybody's in that same position.
Yeah, I think it's
because when you're in like school, like everyone knows you. They all know about you.
Right.
So whatever move you make, you're just like, oh, they're going to judge me because they know me.
Yeah.
But when it comes to sixth form, it's such a clean slate. Like literally, you don't know anyone, no one knows you. Unless you're with friends. But like...
Yeah, I think you choose what you want to share, and people don't... When you meet people in Freshers Week, I think the best thing you can do is just say hello, because everyone, even if they're not saying it to you, everyone in that room wants you to say hello. Because everyone, like, I think it's just a human thing. Like, we all want...
We all want, but everybody's too anxious.
None of us want to be alone. So I think it's sometimes it is hard to step out of your comfort zone and just be like,
yeah, we had that in another episode before where someone said that they were like too nervous to talk to people.
Yeah.
And they didn't know how to make friends. But it's like simple, like other people are scared as well.
Yeah.
You just have to go say hi.
You literally have to embrace it. And that's one thing I'd go back and tell myself is just, you know, I really tried, but if I could have done it even more, it would have been just, it's the best opportunity to just say, hi, I'm Jack. You know, what's your name and what you're studying and stuff. You've got common ground. And I think that's such a valuable thing to be able to just like reinvent yourself and be like, who do I want to be? Who do I want to pick to be in my circle?
Because I literally struggled when we first came, like, because it's a clean slate, and then for me making friends wasn't the hard part. It was the change from going to a place where I knew everyone every single day to coming to someone that's completely new. So I literally stuck with Josh, and if I didn't see Josh, I'd go home. Like that was like my at the start, but then. Literally the day I started to then open up more and actually approach people more is now like I've got a big network of friends you know, in a whole new world. So like at first it is hard regardless of how confident you are or how outgoing you are. Like at first it's hard, but then once you're out there, it's because everyone wants the same thing. It just takes that one person to know.
And I also think what's really, like you said, a whole new world. It literally is, because you meet people who aren't just from like the town that you've always lived in, or like you know, the small compact area that you've always it's, you know, you get people connections from all over the place. Literally. Like different cultures, different languages, you know, and I just think it's amazing to have the opportunity that I just don't think you'll ever get that again, where you literally will be placed in, you know, a house or just in a lecture theatre with loads of people who have a story to tell. I think that's really cool.
So we have a lot of viewers that are potentially going to university,
right?
Or in the stage of thinking about universities. We've had, well, obviously everyone knows about UCL through us. We've had Cambridge on. What if someone wants to go to now Durham University?
Yeah.
So what insights could you give to us about Durham University?
So one of the most valuable things about Durham, I think, is that it's collegiate. So you have like the university is broken down into like, I want to say 16, I could be wrong. 16 to 18, I don't know. Colleges. And I think that's so valuable in a way, because it just gives you, I think a lot of people who move to Durham move quite a long way to go there.
Okay.
And so, you know, it's a completely new place for a lot of people. I'd been there for the open day and that was it. So when I moved there, it was really, discovering a new city. I had no idea where, you know, the local pharmacy was or anything like that. Where's the doctor's surgery? I don't know. You know, I'm in a new place. I have to Google Maps it. So I think the collegiate system is so good for making it forces you to meet people who you then see a lot. Yeah. And so it's those like familiar faces that are really valuable. And so with that, there's kind of like, you know, college societies and college sports. And I think one of the best things about Durham is it's extracurricular. And in first year, I didn't engage with it as much as I wish I had done. And so my biggest advice to anyone who's going is to get stuck in. And, you know, if there's a sport you want to try out, try it.
100%.
If there's something that you are remotely interested in, join the society, go for a taster, go for a couple of sessions, go on their bar crawl, you know, and meet people who have that same interest, and they could be your new best mate. You never know.
Because it's like the biggest regret of mine as well. We're third year, so like football we didn't like, and we love football in sixth form. You love football as well.
We used to play football.
A lot of us don't join the societies because we just stick to each other.
Exactly.
We're just like, you know what, let's just go do our own thing. But them lot can do their thing, we can do our thing.
But it's the biggest, like, it is the biggest regret. Like, after university, it's not like you can't engage in these extracurricular activities post uni, but it becomes that much harder. Like, if you thought it was hard to do it whilst doing uni work, it'll become that much harder if you go into the workplace.
Sure. And I definitely think first year is like the perfect time to do it and just explore new things.
Yeah.
I did it in my second year. Like I made over the summer. I went like traveling, and I was on this overnight bus in the middle of nowhere. And it was like 5 a.m. and there was just nothing to do. And I was sitting there and I was thinking, what societies do I wish I'd joined?
Yeah.
And I just listed them all on my phone. And as soon as I got back to Durham in October, I started. Just joined all the Facebook groups, joined the mailing lists, and then you kind of can dip in and out of different things. Yeah. But it's so enriching to do that.
Yeah.
And I obviously my experiences with Durham, I assume it's the same with a lot of places, but that's one of the biggest educations I've got is just through exploring those interests and finding new ones. I think that's a real highlight.
You know, the college systems, we don't have that at UCL.
Yeah, we don't.
So what universities have the college systems? And I know that Cambridge has.
I think it's Durham, Oxford, and Cambridge.
Yeah, Durham, Oxford,
Cambridge. People say like Doxbridge, which just isn't a thing. It's not.
That's
a thing.
an interesting one.
If you said that to someone at Oxford or Cambridge, they would slap
be
you.
like, get Durham out of here.
Yeah, exactly. Like, where has that come from? But yeah, they do have similarities. I think it was like the third university in the country, so like I think we just kind of like copied.
Yeah.
If Oxford and Cambridge do something, we will kind of like do it as well.
Do it as well, yeah.
Just like pretend that we got in.
So they're just set up to split up.
And it's where you live in first year as well. So it's like where we have like our like kind of formal dinners and all that kind of thing. It's like it all, because I think like 90% of Durham first years are catered, so it's kind of like where your dining hall would be, where your JCR would be, like all of that kind of thing. So
is your camp, is it one campus?
No, it's like literally all over a city. So yeah, it's all.
So it's almost like UCL, but I feel like you probably have more space out there.
It's kind of like it's like because Durham city centre is more like a town almost. It's really kind of compact and it's actually quite tiny. And all of the colleges are kind of within one area. So it does, you kind of feel like a lot of people live within the college in first year. So
okay. Should we move on to this I found yesterday?
Yeah.
You said red carpet to lecture theatre.
Yeah.
So being a YouTuber and a university student.
Well, yeah.
That must be tough.
I mean, obviously it's not tough because it's the best life ever. Like I love it and I'm having the best time. And I hope that my audience see that and they just know that they are making me have like, the time of my life. It's obviously sometimes it's tricky in the distance because one thing I've really discovered since living in the North is that the entertainment industry is completely based in London and the South. And there's just nothing really happens up there, like in terms of that industry. And I think maybe now that the BBC have moved more to like Salford and stuff like that, I think that's probably changing things. But the Northeast, for instance, that's just like it's completely, London is oversaturated with all of this stuff and then that leaves these huge gaps in other places. And I think it's a shame because there's so much going on there. And so many interesting people, and yet you kind of almost need to move to London to pursue that career. And so everything I do, I have to then get a train. And it's fine. It's like my own like mobile library. I just sit on the train doing work, but it's intense, but worth it if that makes sense.
Yeah.
I think I enjoy both so much, and so I'd never give one up. Or it's a weird like lifestyle to lead, and like it's a lot of extra work and stuff, but it's work that I love doing, so it doesn't feel laborious or hard. It's like it's all good.
I think your fans can tell, like the way your content is very comedic, it's very like relaxed, like the way you edit videos, it just seems like like you're passionate about making content.
I hope so. I think
and that's how it comes across.
You want to, it's my life, which I'm just super lucky to live in that way. And so I think it's more about showing like, look how cool this is, rather than look how cool I am.
It's
just silly. Like
we can definitely see your enthusiasm for the videos. 100%.
Oh, I love doing it 100%. So much. I wouldn't do it if I didn't.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So, what was your main motivation behind starting it? Was it coming to university, or was it before?
So I had a channel before. I was like quite precocious when I was a kid, and I was just like I basically emailed loads of local newspapers being like, hi, I want to write a column for you. And they were like, no, because you're 15. Not that, I didn't have anything to say when I was 15, but they just, obviously a newspaper is very like traditional media. And they were very much like, if you don't have a degree, then like you don't have anything to say. And so I was like, okay, fine. I'll make my own blog and people will listen to me there. And I made a website and stuff and started posting to it. And I don't really think anyone cared that much. And then eventually an audience kind of started to come through. The videos were very much like to complement the blog. Like they were kind of to assist the blog rather than being my main thing. But I'd always loved YouTube. And then, when I went to uni, it kind of became the main focus because I found it easier to show rather than tell, in the sense that like I vlogged my freshers week and I vlogged like my first Michaelmas ball, which is like this event that we have in first term and stuff. And I think it was a case of I had no idea what to expect. And so I wanted to be like, I'll show you.
Yeah.
Sorry.
No.
Just walk in and break it. I'm like, another podcast. Oh, you needed microphones? Not anymore. So I think it was a case of like, I just wanted to show what university was like from the most honest, authentic, genuine way I could, and that was through video.
I think that's the best thing, because because we said this in a previous episode, when I was looking to come to university after he persuaded me,
forced you.
I love YouTube, so I watch everything. I'm on YouTube all the time, every day. So I was like, let me see like UCL vlogs maybe, or like university video, but I couldn't find many things.
That's what I had with Durham. I just couldn't find anything.
I ended up having to watch YouTubers that don't go to UCL, but just
get the, like,
still
tips.
get tips on
understanding, but like it wasn't anything direct to what we wanted. That's also the main motivation behind this podcast. Because
exactly
we saw the gap. Like there's nothing really there. Like
and you like fill the void of information, and you fill it with things that you know are valuable because you've experienced. You've had those questions yourself. Yeah. I agree. Like my accommodation, there were 2 pictures on the Durham website, and they were taken in probably like when cameras were invented, and they were just like. You had to like really squint to actually be able to work out like where the bed was in the room and stuff. Like, it was so bad. And there was a video on YouTube by like the Durham Singapore Society where they were like, we're doing a tour, but they just sat on a bench the whole time and spoke about it. And so it was very much a case of like, I wanted to show exactly
rather
what it was
tell.
like. I was like, this is what my room actually looks like. And this is what my housemates' rooms actually look like.
So
you basically like innovated your blog.
Yes.
Or newspaper into like a more visual, interactive space where you can just literally target people.
So it's not rejection, it's redirection.
So
you got rejected by the newspapers and you redirect it towards
and then you create something
bigger and better.
That you find valuable too. And so I think and and then you build the audience that you actually
want.
You can actually cater for. And I in hindsight wouldn't be able to do that. A middle-aged demographic of that newspaper won't actually find what I'm saying right now interesting, so it would just get kind of like thrown away almost. Whereas I guess with YouTube you can really tailor your audience, and you appeal to a specific demographic. You find your niche, and then those people are the ones who keep it going and requesting new things. And then they're like, I've always wondered about this, and I think that's not even a question I had. But now I know about it. I can actually answer you. And I think it's really easy to forget that sometimes the absolute basics are what people really want to know. And so that's kind of what I tried to hit with.
I had a question for you. What would you say the teaching quality is like at Durham? Because a lot of people ask about UCLs, and we've given our insight into positives and the negatives. What would you say the quality of teaching is like?
I think it's good. I mean, I'm like the Durham English department is like, I think the biggest department in the UK for that subject. So like, I think the quality there is good because of that. I mean, I've had a really good experience. That's not to say that everyone has. And I think that's another thing you have to be super careful with things like this when I'm presenting like the Durham experience. I always try to remind people like this is my experience, and I have been fortunate to never experience kind of like you know, any of the, like, I didn't come from a disadvantaged background, so I can't speak on behalf of those who have. If I can give a platform to those to those views, then of course I will. But you know, one person can't speak for every group, and it's hard. And you know, I wish that we could, but we just can't. And so again, with the teaching style, I would say it's good. But that's
as Josh would say, take it with a pinch of salt.
Yeah, with a pinch of salt.
Yeah, exactly.
You have to. Yeah,
like experience it yourself. But like it helps sometimes just to see what someone else's experience is, or that's originally there. So we've spoken about UCL. We've loved it. There's been many great
ups and
lecturers, ups and downs.
A lot of ups and downs that we just deal with it, like, in our own ways. But that's like how we kind of want to tell people. Yeah. It depends on how you deal with the situation. Yeah. And like with you enjoy the teaching there, but like maybe we wouldn't. But just because everyone's teaching style is different.
For sure. Exactly. And so I think that's like, it's a really important thing to, when you take online content, when you take it in, you know, you, like you said, you have to take it with a pinch of salt, and you have to still have, you know, a rounded view of things. Exactly. And one person cannot give you an explanation of the Durham experience or the UCL experience. You know, that's something that you have to work out for yourself too. But that person can give you kind of guidance or like a rough
idea. Yeah. Out of curiosity, how did you come across English literature as your decision for your degree?
Yeah, I think it was just like, for me, it was always what I've loved. So I think like, I know a lot of people have like a really difficult struggle with like, what do I take? But for me, it was like always straight away. What about you guys with business? Were you always like, that's the one?
I've always been. For me, I've loved.
I wanted to be more diverse into like technology. So I wanted to.
I've always been business. Myself. I've come from a background of just business.
Okay.
So I've always been a bit of a tech nerd. So I was considering IT, but like I love science. Like I love the idea of just being in the science field, figuring out new things. But the problem with me was I wasn't as good at maths as everything else. So like in my GCSEs, I think I got an A and 2 Bs for physics and whatever else. But my maths wasn't good enough to take it to A levels. So then I was like, okay, like fair enough. I don't have the grades. Like, so what else can I do? And I was like, well, I love IT and I love business. And then we picked those things and then ended up here. Perfect formula. And ended up here. So
yeah, I think I was always like very much essay based, and so I like my A levels were in English, history, and politics. So it's kind of like, which for some people is like, oh, horrible.
That's good to me.
But for me, that's like, you know, I love it. And science for me is the like shudder.
It's a shudder.
But I think it's, you know, it's just finding the thing that you want, you know, will wake you up each morning and you'll get out of bed to go and study. Because if you're not going to do that, like, it's going to be hard.
It's going to be incredibly hard.
And that's the same with kind of, you know, sometimes I know people pick subjects just because that they think it'll impress their parents or it'll sound good at like a dinner party, but you really have to go for something that you love. Yeah. Because it's three or 4 years of your life.
Exactly.
Taken away by one course.
Well, and you know, you've got to love it, I think, is the most important thing. And if it doesn't excite you, then you're doing it for the wrong reason.
I mean, and it also speaks to like, if you don't know what you want to do, regardless of what it may be, and you pick a degree just because it's the thing you think you'll like the most out of a bad bunch, and maybe you don't end up liking it at all, it's okay to change or drop 100%. Out and decide to come back if you like something else. Like, that's okay as well. Like, for sure. It's perfectly fine. And I think not enough people realize. People think dropping out or changing is a bad thing if they have the pressure of their parents or other people. But if that's what you need to be able to stick through 3 years, as we were saying, because it's so incredibly difficult, then that's the decision that should be taken.
I think it's like another thing about, you know, even the terminology of like dropping out or like giving up. It always sounds like you're like letting go and you know, and like you're slacking, like you haven't been strong enough to continue. But it's not like that. It's the same, like you said before, it's more about redirection and reevaluating what you have and just taking it on a new path. You know, and there's nothing wrong with that. And you might end up looking back in years to come and think that was the best decision I ever made, even though at the time you struggled and you had to suffer to get to that point. Like, that doesn't always mean it's the end of the road, and it could just be the start of something better.
Exactly.
So, I agree with what you're saying. Like, it's so important to.
It's like we all know people that have done like a year in one course and like literally changed their mind and said, I'm gonna change my course, go to something else, and try that out, and they've enjoyed it even more.
Oh yeah, exactly.
Now's the time. Literally, now's the time.
Now's the time.
Experiment now. Settle later.
Yeah.
Literally. You know, you have your own podcast.
I do.
Before you took over ours, but
hey guys,
the Wooden Spoon. So
the Wooden Spoon.
Yeah, what was the motivation behind the Wooden Spoon? You know what I loved is your trailer to it. You know when you had
that was so sick.
I love that.
Thanks, guys. Well, if anyone like doesn't know what the teaser that we did, it was like us around like random London landmarks, just smacking like wooden spoons together, and all of us have absolutely no musical or rhythmic gifts. Like that is just not.
And you're using wooden spoons.
Yeah, or anything that any of us were capable of. I can barely cook with a wooden spoon, let alone like put music on it. So I wish you could see like me standing there on like near St. Paul's Cathedral with my manager and producer just like tapping her leg, being like, right, this is what to just tap in time with me and you'll be fine. And I was like, right, okay. There was a lot of concentration that went into that. But yeah, the podcast has been so much fun. I think it was never something that I'd even really thought about because it's such a new medium. Like, 100%. That it's not like you grow up thinking, I want to host a podcast, like, but because it just didn't exist. It wasn't a thing back then. And it was always something that I love podcasts. I love listening to them. And so, when the opportunity came up to like record our own and come together and bring 4 like minds together, who all had such different experiences of, even the subjects that we took or our interests. It's just really cool to get to, the other 3 people who host that podcast like open my mind every time we record it. Yeah. And that's really amazing to get to do that. And so I feel like I benefit every time I go into the studio. Like I hope the people who listen benefit too. Yeah. But definitely. It's always really fascinating to me to like think about, we've really tried to break down kind of, terms that we all know, like rejection and perfectionism and stuff, and be like, why do we talk about it like the way that we do, and why do we believe in perfectionism as like a good thing? When you go to a job interview and say, I'm a perfectionist, and it makes it sound like I just love everything to be too good. I want everything to be perfect. But we were kind of like, actually, it's kind of detrimental to have that mindset, and it actually can cause burnout and things like that. So I find it really interesting to break down the things that I saw in everyday life, that I saw as norms, to think about them in terms of like, why do we think like that? Yeah. And so it was really, it was a really interesting experience.
And it's 8-part.
An 8-part season.
So you just concluded season 1 series.
Season 1.
So if you haven't checked that out,
check it out on Spotify, iTunes, everywhere.
Yeah. So what's the future plan with it? Just to keep it going, just keep see where it takes you.
I don't know.
Tight-lipped.
Tight-lipped. I mean, I know that all 4 of us would love to continue with it. So, hopefully that happens. Okay. Well, let's talk about your Jailbreak experience. Jailbreak was good fun. If people don't know what Jailbreak is, could you explain it? So Jailbreak is like a charity challenge to get as far from your university as possible in 36 hours without spending any of your own money. And so 2 of my friends, we signed up to it together, and we managed to get to Tel Aviv, which was just so random.
That's insane, to Tel Aviv.
Yeah, so it was all through just like raising money and getting the word out, and we actually raised enough money originally. Like we went to the airport and we were just like shaking a bucket at people like, please give us money. We were dressed as
literally at the airport.
Yeah, we were. We got to Newcastle Airport and we were like, we thought that maybe we could like, have a little bit of a flirt with the people behind the desk and just be like, try and charm them into giving us free tickets. Absolutely not. They will happily just let a plane go with like empty seats rather than give them to you for free. Otherwise, I guess everyone would do it. Right? Everyone would like we did it dressed as fried eggs, and like I can just imagine loads of people just rocking up to the airport dressed as fried eggs because they knew we get them free tickets.
Yeah. You waiting outside.
I might try that next time.
Exactly, and that did not work. So we had to do quite a bit of fundraising, and like spirits were pretty low for a while. Like after we'd been going for 12 hours and we were still in Newcastle Wetherspoons, and we were like, this is not going to plan. And then the next morning we managed to raise enough money to fly to Cyprus. And it was literally just before the flight. I had this DM on Twitter of someone saying, my mum wants to give you £100. And with that money, we could fly even further to Tel Aviv. So
that's
it was cool. It was good fun. And then we found out we landed and we had no signal or anything. And it was like, so it had been an hour since the whole thing had ended. And last we knew, there was a team in like Morocco and all this stuff. So we had no idea if we'd won or not. So we got the like message saying that we'd won, and we were like, yeah.
Really?
Now what? Now
how do we get back?
Because we bought a one-way flight. So now what do we do?
So how'd you guys get back?
We paid to go home ourselves.
Okay.
So yeah, but it was it was like such.
Well, you had to pay like for yourselves to get back.
Yeah, because I guess it's like
I guess
yeah. We got the experience, so I was happy to pay because I was like we had such a good.
Got to Tel Aviv.
Yeah, exactly. We stayed for like 2 days as well, so we got to see it. We stayed in this amazing hostel. It was lovely.
Cool.
But yeah, it was cool to get to go and just see a random place because I don't necessarily think it was somewhere. If I was thinking like, oh, okay, where do I want to go and see?
Yeah,
it probably wouldn't be one of the places that I'd be like,
you'd pick.
I have to go because I just wouldn't even think about it really. But it was such a cool place. So it was really great to go and just explore somewhere random.
Why didn't we do it in the end?
I don't even know because it's interesting. UCL's one, right? Like I haven't. Like my friend Miz always says, like we should have done it.
Yeah,
and
he's the one that always goes on about.
I don't know if they had this at Durham, but you can actually. There's a UCL Jailbreak website where you can actually see where people have gone.
Oh, that's
like
cool.
They dot it around the world map.
That's really
and it's
cool.
interesting to see. Yeah. One time I was just procrastinating. Yeah, where have you been?
I don't know. I'm sleeping.
we were literally sat behind the computers watching where everyone's going.
While it was happening as well.
While it was happening,
there was like I don't know how did they do that though?
I don't know. UCL probably just has trackers on all of us.
They know we are right now.
As soon as you like get your like enrollment done,
they're like, we've got you. Tag him.
I feel like you should watch what you say. The mics might just come down, the camera will go off, the lights will go down. They'll be like, right, we've got you now.
Dragged out the room. Squad force coming through the roof.
If you hear it, how far do you think we could have gone?
Honestly, I always joke about this. I feel like we'd make it to Manchester.
That's genuinely, when I was in Newcastle still, which is like 10 minutes from Durham, I was like, for goodness sake. Like, I've bigged this up. I've told my family I need my passport, and we haven't even made it out of the country.
That's crazy. 12 hours and you weren't even out. You're still in Newcastle.
Yeah, but then it's crazy how far a flight can get you in, like a limited time. Like
straight away. Yeah, we would have made it to Manchester. That would have been about it.
I would
have come back home.
I'll find a way to finesse it. Don't worry.
You'll find a way.
Oh, we need to know. Listen, Photoshop could be your best friend.
Oh yeah.
Just take a picture, just be like, I'm out here. Look at me.
Here we are. The Sydney Opera House.
Yeah, exactly.
There it is.
We should have done it, but I didn't. You still didn't really advertise it like that.
Let's just do it without you still. The
thing is, you it made me realize how easy like spontaneous travel could be if you just if you just saved up a bit and then you could just get the cheapest flight and then see where it can take you. Like you actually can do quite a bit on a budget.
You know what we should do? We should do a little jailbreak thing. So we'll get Ibsmo involved in this. We'll do Cambridge versus Durham versus UCL.
That would be a sick
From
idea.
which university? Who can go the furthest out?
That would be cool. I feel like you guys were a bit of an advantage being in London because we were like,
oh, that's true.
You can get anywhere from London.
We'll relocate to Manchester.
We'll have the same starting point.
Look at me getting the excuses in. I'm like, you guys definitely have an advantage. Like, I'm really far away.
We'll have a mutual starting point, and then we'll go from there. I think that'd be interesting. Cambridge versus Durham versus get something going there.
There you go.
From the comments we've had from the videos, people are asking about almost. For you, might be a bit early because you're finishing second year, but obviously you're gonna have to start thinking about it's postgraduate life.
Shudder.
Yeah, you literally put. I know obviously we're now involved and we're going.
No, honestly, every time I do, I ask for questions or do a Q&A or even I just post a video. Like one of the top comments I always get is, what's your plan after uni? And there's so much pressure on knowing, and to be fair, like I know that I've asked people, so what, if someone says, oh, I'm just about to graduate, I'm like, so what's your plan?
Yeah.
And I feel like that's just such an intimidating question. I'm always like, I don't know what I'm doing. I think now I'm kind of thinking about like maybe doing a master's or something just because I love the university like lifestyle and I don't know if I'm ready to give it up yet.
Should we tell you about our master's experience right now?
Tell me, spill the beans.
It's been a rocky road.
It's
been a rocky road.
Why?
I mean,
let's get started on this. This is interesting.
Do you guys just come as a pair? You're like, right, we're doing a master's now.
Well, yeah, more or less.
It's true now.
Three Musketeers.
Yeah, more or less.
So we're starting this mental health business for universities, which we came up with part of our course. So like we had a coursework. So then we're like, we do this together. Let's push this forward together as well.
Yeah.
So we were looking to do a master's and work on the business together. And IMB Masters enables us to do that in some aspects, but it's like it's not fully focused. So it'd be like another year of university, but we wouldn't have enough time to focus on the business. So we wanted a degree, kind of like a master that kind of let us focus on that, which was entrepreneurship.
Okay.
Now the problem with entrepreneurship is it's a whole new application process, and it's £14,000. Like no student finance don't provide it. You have to provide it yourself.
Yeah. So for anybody looking for a postgrad, the government only fund you for a max of 10,000, and that's not for tuition and maintenance. It's either or. They just give you the lump sum of money, and you do what you want with it.
Do with it now.
I see.
So as of now, we get maintenance loan for just general living costs, and then they pay the university directly for tuition.
Yeah, you just never see that money.
That's just gone.
Yeah,
all gone down the drain.
Like,
just
buy it,
and the maintenance along with it, it's gone. But so that's our difficulty right now. Basically, we're going to get a lump sum, but we won't be able to fund our third term of university next year. Because that will leave roughly 4,000 for each of us. So that's the predicament we're in now.
Wow, I genuinely had no idea about that. But that's one of the interesting things about sharing this stuff is that like I'm in my second, so I need to be thinking about this in like I'll have to have applied by January of next year, and I didn't even know that. So it's interesting, isn't it? And what a gap in information, because I feel like their education system and stuff they're very complacent about the fact that they know people will sign up to these schemes
regardless,
because people like I need to get people almost in their heads are like I need to have a degree or I need to get a master's, and that's not to say that you do. I think it's just something I had in my head. I was like, I need to get a degree. It's interesting at that complacency of not really having to even tell people like, by the way, this is going to come up in 4 years time, you might need to pay this, you just work out as you go along. Strange.
Yeah, it's like they make it that much more harder for students in that anxiety and that ambiguity and not knowing what to expect. They don't try and plug that gap for students. But like you said, which is good, why we're here discussing this now.
I mean, I think it's just like young people now recognizing that there's a gap in information and having to fill it.
Exactly.
In an ideal world, this information would all be available for everyone anyway.
Exactly.
Because even now, there's also like we're still going through it. So we're in the application process for the entrepreneurship. We've just come off the IMB one because we just found it's not worth it for us.
Right.
Because it would have become an integrated master's, so we wouldn't have had to worry about the IMB masters.
We would have graduated next year as opposed to this year.
Yeah. So that would have been paid for. But the only problem is it wasn't what we wanted to do, if that makes sense. And so we're keeping that as a bachelor's. We're in the application process for entrepreneurship. Right. And we're going to have to try and make it work somehow. Yeah. So,
work it out.
Because I feel like this initiative we have for this mental health, we want to get it out there.
And it can really work,
Because we've seen like the protests that happen at UCL about the services we currently have. It's just not enough or not enough focus is on it, if that makes sense. So we always want to like bridge that gap.
Yeah, so they're like almost calling out for someone to spotlight it and help.
Exactly.
So we're trying, and like, it's funny because it was part of our coursework.
Yeah, exactly.
We had an entrepreneurship module, just a module, and then we had to come up with a business, make a business plan for it, and then we came up with this, and like while doing it, we had a lot of fun, and we were very passionate about it. So from them, we just held on to it, like let's hold on to this idea, and then the third year came around, we're like, let's make this something now.
Yeah, but that's the most important thing, isn't it? When you realize the thing that you're passionate about and the thing you're like, this is what I want my mark on the world to be. Like, I think that's the best thing. Yeah.
So what, you're going to apply at Durham for masters?
I think I don't think I'd apply for Durham again, just because I feel like I've had my time there and because I will graduate as well, I feel like I kind of want to just go somewhere else. And I love exploring and finding new places and stuff. So I'd love to go somewhere different, but
abroad maybe.
Maybe.
Abroad, maybe.
But yeah, I think it's a weird one because of the YouTube stuff that I do, and I'm really, really lucky to get to do it as a job. But I don't think I would ever do it full time because, I see these people coming out of reality TV shows and stuff, and they go straight into the world of being an influencer, whatever that is supposed to mean, and it's like I think people lose themselves in it. And I think that if you come out of one of those shows and someone waves a check in your face to promote this tea that's going to make you like remove everything and not a pleasant way. And like, yeah, you're going to lose weight, but you'll literally watch it fall out of you.
Yeah.
Like I think it's easy for them to say yes, because like someone's going to pay me to post a photo that's going to take me 5 minutes to do. Like, why not? But like, I think that's how people lose themselves.
Yeah.
And I think, you know, it's what you have to be so responsible as a content creator of what you like, what you promote and what you share and all of that stuff, the message that you put out. And I sometimes do think that if you're doing it full time, you can lose touch of like reality. And it's a thing of going to events or working with brands and constantly being told that you are the most important person can like mess you up, because people, like, I understand why people like Justin Bieber and stuff have like a weird kind of complex where in a way they are self-important, and that is understandable because you're always being told that you are so important and valuable. And I think that sometimes with YouTube, like if you did it full time, I think that you'd get lost in that. And I think it's, for me, like the normality of being at university or even just working a job that was outside of content creation and being like a figure is like the most grounding thing, because it keeps you like in tune with reality, because social media isn't a proper reality. No, it's like this, it's so distorted. It's just a highlights reel of everyone's stuff. And I think that you would end up being quite unhappy if you weren't doing what everyone else is doing all the time, if you were doing it like completely as your sole thing. So I don't think I could ever do it full time.
Okay, so
that's a common theme with entertainers in itself. Like a lot of people say, like, sort of, although they love their job, like they don't necessarily love the fame that comes with it, and kind of wish they could revert back to a normal life, because it does get overbearing. So I think like the fact YouTube allows you to have that balance and dip between the two is a good thing.
It's like I think you could lose your like passion for it, and you could forget. I think for like, I'm really lucky because I go to university and stuff, and then I'll be invited to like an event, or I'll be asked to work on a campaign and stuff, and I get so excited to do it because it's so much fun, and I can't believe that I've been asked to do it and, you know, work with a brand that I've always loved. But I think if that was your sole thing and you were relying on that, you would lose that excitement for it. You'd be like, okay, yeah, I need that, or
it becomes work.
Yeah, it becomes like a chore to do that stuff, and it's not. You know, people have it so much harder, and I think if that's the only thing you ever do, you would lose that a little bit. Yeah. So I think
So would you say like it's keeping like your goals and ambitions as like the main priority in what you want to do?
Like,
so like even if you are like an influencer, but you take it to achieve your goals and ambitions of like maybe helping someone else.
Yeah.
So like you do now with YouTube, like helping people, like finding their way into university life. Yeah. Would you say that's like one of the
I think
main
so. I think it's
passions
just staying in touch with the real world and knowing, you know.
Yeah. Don't lose yourself.
Don't lose yourself in it, and you know, surround yourself with people who maybe aren't in that environment where you're always talking about numbers or how many likes your photo got or how you're going to make your feed more aesthetically pleasing, because, you know, you'll lose.
Talk about the real things.
Yeah, you need to talk about your real stuff and how you can actually help people.
Yeah. You know what? Because we're talking about like basically self-development personally. We got a little segment in the podcast when Bilal always jumps in there with his little personal development quotes.
Right,
let's get them.
Let's get it out.
Come on, Bilal. Let's do it.
We're
ready.
So if you don't have yourself.
What?
Sorry, I got a bit too relaxed. My chest. Sorry, I'll. There you go. Back in the room. I'm so sorry. I completely ruined the moment.
So if you aren't like realigned with yourself and like you're not following your passion, like your whole like mental state is just gonna go downhill because you're constantly chasing the bag. You can't chase the bag all the time.
No, I love
you need to chase your happiness sometimes.
Amazing. Sunrise.
Thank you.
Even though I tried to sabotage it, I'm very sorry. It was the chair, I swear.
Trying to take a limelight. So what sort of careers are you looking to go into then? I don't know still, and I'm third year and I'm finishing, and I still don't know.
I think like broadcast journalism is something that I've always been interested in, and I've been really lucky with like the YouTube stuff to get to experience kind of like presenting, and obviously like this kind of thing is I love being in a room surrounded by creative people who all want to make something.
Thank you.
And make something valuable. And I think that's the best thing. And that's why, like, when you guys said, like, oh, do you want to be on the podcast? I was like, of course, because it means I get to hang out with people who are creative, like, especially young people who are creative. They want to make something. They want to make a difference. And and you know, make something of value for other people. And I think that's the coolest thing. And so I think that's what I want to continue doing when I go into, you know, full-time work or whatever, to actually continue being creative and surrounding myself with people who love that kind of side of things as well.
I mean, that's the same with us. Like, we want to have people, like we bring on, like, majority of the time we bring on people. It's just like, we want to see, they have stories to tell. Like, you have a story to tell.
Yeah.
We had Simeon on. He's got a story to tell about knife crime and mental health.
Yeah.
We had people on like Ibs to talk about life at Cambridge. We had Courtney Daniela on to talk about being black on YouTube.
Yeah.
Or like, so it's to spread messages that we wanted to see but we never saw.
Yeah,
if that makes sense. And it's to give a platform for people to come and take this information, whereas we had to go there searching constantly.
Yeah,
couldn't find anything about it.
And working out for yourself when, you know, someone like Courtney, that'll be like, or Ibs will give someone the motivation that they need to get started when they've always believed it was a sphere for other people.
Yeah.
And that's so much more valuable to create something like that. I believe that like escapism and like fun, you know, just content that you watch just for like comedy value and stuff is still valuable. But I also believe in the value of kind of, if you change one person's mindset and that one person says, now I'm going to apply to Cambridge, or now I'm going to apply to university, then like you've achieved something.
Yeah. We never thought this, like from one of our videos, like someone's also said like, this has really motivated me. Now I want to start applying for university.
And isn't that the coolest thing?
I just sat back on my chair and I was just like,
it's like we messaged each other as well.
each other on the group chat. We were like, what is this?
Like, the fact that someone's one person would say that, it just makes you feel like, wow. Like, I'm speechless almost. Like, we never thought we'd start this and our voices would go out there like this, and it'd impact someone to be like, oh, now I'm motivated to apply for university. So for us, it's just crazy.
But that's one thing that I think maybe audiences don't see as much. You don't see the excitement of like, if someone said that to me, I met this girl outside like the London Palladium who said that she'd applied to UK university just because she'd watched like the videos that I made, and that is the best feeling like you could ever. And she said that to my face, and so she got to see my reaction of being like, oh my God, that's amazing. That's incredible. But if you send that as a DM and stuff, it's hard to see like how much that means to someone who creates content for that exact reason. That's the best thing you can ask for. And I think also if you watch like small creators or you enjoy small creators, support them and tell them those things, because that's what keeps them going. And there'll be times where like you're struggling to like financially support it, and sometimes you don't have time to keep making content or whatever. And those little comments are the things that make you, they just remind you, that's why I do this, and that's why I want to keep making things. So.
Because like we replied to a comment, obviously like, thank you so much. But they didn't see behind that. We were messaging each other like, oh my God, did you see this? Like, like, they don't see any of that.
That's what I was saying. Like when I replied to so many of these messages, like I think we've replied to everyone. It feels like a PR message almost. Like, but you need to come together. That raw, like, we're like, oh my God,
even the like feeling your body gets when you're, or like your brain when you're just like, whoa,
this is crazy.
I just sit back, I'm just like wow. Just wow. Like, you know, you're telling supporting small influences or I saw this podcast recently on Freshly Grounded, and they had someone on there. He said we're so open to supporting these big figures like Beyonce or someone like, I don't know, like the Kardashians are making this movement. We're so eager to go support them, but when people around us are trying to make a difference, where they're just like, okay, do what you need to do. Like that's I feel like I see that a lot in the society I'm in, and with the people I know. I see that they're so ready to support any other cause, but when someone within is trying to do a better thing, it's like, okay, go on do it.
I think it's so important to support the change that you want to see, but also the change that someone else wants to see. Because you know, your experience will never be the experience that everyone else will have, and you will never understand the difficulties that some people face, and so you can only ever support them in their plight to make that better for not just them but someone else who's maybe hasn't even been born yet, or someone who's like going, you know, they're at primary school right now, and that person is the one who's going to change their lives, and you might not see it right now, and they're just like, I've had this idea. But I think the best thing you can do is just support people in those things.
Support everyone.
And I think that's one thing we've realized about the education sphere. Like it's so much more supported than a lot of other areas. Like just the support from people who watch the videos, other YouTubers like yourself, or just friends or people that we invite on the podcast. Like just sharing that information is.
But you know, for us, it's also nice to see people like you do like what you do, and like how we've DM'd you and you're so like inviting towards us and stuff.
Oh, like we all do the same thing. Do you know what I mean? Like we all love making content. We all love like podcasts as well. Like I just think the more we can support each other. Also, one of the biggest things with like online content is that it's not like ITV and BBC where at 7 p.m. they're both showing a TV show and you can only watch one live and you'll record one or whatever. But like with online content where you can all put out YouTube videos, we can all put out podcasts and stuff, and you can listen to both or all, or you can listen to. There's no competition, I feel. I think numbers obviously make it like a weird. It adds a weird dimension to it, but I love to support like my friends and even other people who I just think are making a positive difference and having good influence on the world and on other people. Like the best thing we can do is support each other. And work together, collaborate, and build together and create value together. That's like that's the best thing we can do, and it's just it's good fun.
Well, thank you so much.
Thank you
for having me, for your time today, coming down
with knowledge and insight.
Literally.
Well,
and it shows you have your own podcast. Like perfect. Amazing guest.
Well, no, I think what you guys are doing is amazing.
Thank you so much.
Thanks for having me.
Just to mention again, make sure to check out Jack Edwards' YouTube channel. He has a lot of amazing content on there, and also the Wooden Spoon podcast. Ooh. Check that out as well.
The whole season.
The whole season there. We'll put that in the description. It will be in the description.
What a way to do episode 12 of CultrTalk.
Wow.
I'm on it.
Amazing. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
So we'll catch you guys in
the next
episode.
one. See ya.
Bye.